So it's the beginning of September, and we know that harvest is getting close. After you go through veraison, those berries pick up some color, and you know that harvest is right around the corner, and theoretically you could count the number of days between veraison and when you want to harvest, but the only way to know for sure is to go out into the vineyard and do some sampling. So that's what I'm going to show you today. The last post I made was about veraison, and you saw how very different parts of the cluster can be, and that actually has an impact here when you're sampling for berries, because it's always easy to go for the biggest, plumpest berry. But if you have a lot of variation, if you do that, if you just grab the one that's most attractive, then you're actually not going to get a representative sample. So the way I do that is by going on both sides. There's the shade and the sun side of the vine, and I will go from the bottom of one cluster to the top of another, and then cross the row, go for the middle, and then go for the top, and mix it up like that. And make sure you're taking both this big and this small berries, all from different places in the overall grape cluster. And only by doing that will you start to get close to what you think the vine is actually doing. If you see some raisins, you got to pick some raisins. So now, not only do you want to be careful about picking in a way that's going to get you as much of the variation within the cluster, but you also want to pick from the parts of the vineyard that are also representative, and to pick equally. In this block, there is a lot of variation. This side of it is almost all with a southern exposure, and it's all on a hillside, but further up we have a big swale, and the depth of the soil in this block changes considerably, and it's maybe it's only a quarter acre of a block. So as I hike around it, it might be easy just to go across the top, but that's going to have a very different ripeness than this part. The other thing that I don't want to do is I don't want to go more than 4 rows from the end. As you can see, these vines here on the end have a lot more vegetation on them. That's because they have a lot more rooting zone at the end of a row. So if I was just to walk along the vineyard this way and pick the vines off of the end and do it the easy way, then I actually wouldn't have a very representative sample, because those vines have a different amount of vigor than the ones in here that all have to compete for root space. So that's a big deal. Normally they would say you want to go at least 10 vines in, but this is a really small vineyard. So if I go 10 vines in from both sides, I only have about 2 vines to pick from. So I go 4 vines in on this vineyard, and hope that's accurate enough for me. All right, so we have our sample. This is from our Pinot block. And what I'm going to do, this is a refractometer. What it does is you put some juice right here on, and you can see there's a little glass piece, and put it down, and what happens is that the more sugar, the more it bends the ray of light from the sun when it comes in. And the higher the sugar, as it comes in, it'll change the beam of light, and there's a little line that you'll be able to see on the inside as you look through it, and then there's a scale on that line. So as we go up in sugar, the line gets higher, and you can read it's a very cool but very low-tech way to do this. So you just squeeze some of your sample onto the glass, go like that, look through it, and we're at 21.5 degrees Brix, which degree sugar, basically. It's percent sugar is what the Brix scale is. So the rule of thumb for wine, and it's a very rough rule of thumb, by the way, is that you can get about a brick and a half, about 1.5% sugar of development as the berries ripen every week. So if we want to pick this around 23, 24, if it's 21 and a half, then we have basically a week until this is going to be picked. So that means I need to start making some phone calls, making sure that the winery we're going to crush this at has time to take it, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be watching this block a lot more closely in the very near future. Anyway, so that's berry sampling. That is kind of what winemakers are doing in late August, early September, getting ready and trying to get a guesstimate for really when we have to spring into action and start making some wine. Look, I just took a berry from the 4th vine in. I'm too distracted. Damn this video blogging.